How can we persuade people to think about what we want them to learn? Given that people are naturally inclined to avoid effortful thinking, we need to think about how people engage in the hard work of learning. Kahneman and Tversky characterized two modes of thinking: fast, system 1, and slow, system 2. System 1 is the style of thinking that we rely on most, which is quick, autonomous, and unconscious. In system 1 thinking, we rely upon mental shortcuts to guide our actions, also known as heuristics. In the slower system 2 mode of thinking, our thinking is conscious. We make decisions and engage with our reasoning self. When we are trying to persuade people to think about something that we want them to learn, we're asking them to engage in system 2 based thinking. That is, we're asking them to go beyond their inclination to avoid cognitive work. Thinking is hard, so we need to make it exciting for the learners. One way to encourage people to engage in learning is to provide factual background knowledge of the learning objectives for pupils to utilize their problem-solving skills. Problem-solving skill is considered a higher-order thinking capability that allows individuals to engage in critical thinking to effectively understand the learning objectives. However, providing pupils with factual background knowledge might be essential to elicit their problem-solving skills. Willingham has suggested that factual knowledge of the learning objectives would provide integration between problem-solving and working memory, which, in result, would promote chunking and minimize cognitive loads on an individual's working memory. Chunking refers to grouping individual information in meaningful categories to enhance problem-solving skills. Therefore, by providing background knowledge of the learning objectives, individuals would be more likely to engage in problem-solving activities to avoid excessive use of working memory, potentially providing an environment to promote critical thinking. People are motivated to learn when the content is neither too difficult nor too easy. In fact, Willingham argues that getting the level of learning difficulty right is more important than the content itself. You might think that making things easier will mean that people are more likely to think about them. However, if the difficulty of learning is too easy, people will become bored and they're likely to disengage. On the other hand, tasks that are outside a pupil's capabilities will be too difficult and frustrating. The right level of difficulty is achieved when people are forced to problem solve, but have the right amount of background knowledge and critical skills to come up with a solution. To gauge the right level of difficulty, educators should consider the needs and capabilities of learners. Delivering learning content with the right level of difficulty means that people will want to think about what they're learning. Finally, storytelling is an effective tool in which learning is facilitated by reflection and inference. Engagement precedes learning. Therefore, stories which include causality between elements, conflict, complications, and characteristics are needed for maximal attention and information retention. Studies that show when the information is presented in a more interesting format, it's recalled easier. People are also more likely to retain the details of a story due to its casual and logical flow, which promotes recall and ties isolated concepts into more memorable sequences. Stories promote learning by encouraging thinking as they require people to make meaning and inference whilst listening. Therefore, storytelling persuades people to engage in effortful thinking and enhances learning outcomes. In conclusion, thinking is an essential process of learning which we do not automatically engage in. We can encourage learners to engage in thinking by reducing working memory load, providing the necessary background knowledge, tailoring the difficulty of content to their needs, and using stories.